This is a common thing that we parents desire for our children. I want my kids to get a good education. This is the reason that families move from one district into another. It's the reason that parents spend tens of thousands of dollars on tuition and on extracurricular activities and courses. It's the reason that some families change their entire lifestyle in order to homeschool. Hi, my name is Rachel from 7 and All, and I am a second-generation homeschooler, mom to 3 young boys, and I make nerdy homeschool videos here on YouTube every week. Today's question is, what does it mean to give your kids a good education? What are the elements of a good, great, or excellent education? This is a question worth considering. There will be some variations in the answer because you are raising a different set of children under different circumstances and with different needs and goals than I am. But this is a question we should all consider. What do we mean when we say we want a good education for our kids? What are the components of a good education? Let's talk about it. Number 1. In my view, a good education is one that is wide and well-rounded. When I consider the elements of a good education, I think first of a curriculum that is broad, or as we often say within the homeschool world, I think of a feast of education that is spread, a table spread with many subjects. No one will ever be an expert in every branch of knowledge. However, general background knowledge is more helpful than we probably even realize. A wide base of knowledge gives us the context necessary for understanding life and connecting the dots. This is why, in addition to literary skills and math skills, we spread the table with a wide feast of many different subject areas: geography, science, history, music, art, and much more. Now, some people will choose a certain branch of study, say a branch of science, or say music, and they will follow that branch for many years, gaining immense experience and expertise. But even if you never become an expert musician, having that basic fundamental background knowledge of music is going to benefit you in all of your life, giving you enough fundamental knowledge to be able to better appreciate and understand your experience with music throughout your whole life. The same sort of example could be made from any subject area. So we don't let the fact that we may never become an expert in a subject area stop us from exploring it. The next key feature of a great education is that it is not limited to things that you will need to use in real life. You can often find people complaining about the disconnect between academics and real life. And I can kind of see where people are coming from because, discussing the philosophical writings of Rene Descartes doesn't really have an immediate application to, how to go grocery shopping and how to cook healthy dinners and how to check your oil and how to balance your budget every month. Not everything studied in a great education has an immediate and obvious application to the tasks of everyday life. However, I would submit that the life of the mind is very much real life. And while some of the ideas gained throughout a great education might not be hands-on skills like how to change a tire, they are essential nonetheless. Ideas are, in fact, part of real life, and in giving my children a feast of education, I want to give them a feast of ideas in which to wrestle with and engage with. So in my view of education, we do not limit our education to only those things that will have immediate and practical applications in our everyday lives. I believe that ideas matter greatly for the life of the mind. They are food for the mind, and we need that just as much. Next up, a great education prioritizes the development of logical problem-solving skills and critical thinking. Another critique I hear of education is, why are we wasting so much time teaching kids all this math? They're just going to use the calculators on their smartphones anyways, or we'll never need to know this in our everyday life. I've never used these skills in my everyday life. And again, I would come back to, we're kind of missing the point if we try to narrow education down just to what we do on an everyday basis. First of all, we need to notice that math really does have a lot of practical, useful applications in everyday life, and probably a lot of people are even using more math than they even realize. I mean, algebra, for example, the basic process of solving for an unknown, I have used that many times, and I am no mathematician. I have used that very, very regularly throughout my life in many different situations. So there are many applications, practical applications for this. But there's a bigger picture thing we need to know with math. But there's a bigger picture that we're missing within the discipline of math. And this I need to point out. When we are challenging our kids to build a deep and a strong understanding of mathematical reasoning, we are actually working on developing the brain exercise and the brain thinking patterns needed for logical problem solving. And this is useful for everyone, not only for those who will do a lot of math in their everyday lives because their job requires it. The discipline and practice of math is a key element in developing problem solving skills. It is useful not only when there's numbers around. A strong math education is powerful for training and exercising, disciplining the brain for problem solving, even when there's not a number in sight. In addition, critical thinking skills need to be part of the way we engage with every single subject. In the age of the internet, I don't think I'm going to have to argue very hard to persuade you that critical thinking skills are probably more essential than ever before. The ability to evaluate information for its accuracy is more valuable and essential than ever before. So a great education values problem-solving skill development and logical thinking development and critical thinking development throughout and in every subject area. Next, a great education includes real-life application. Now, if you've been watching this video so far, you might be thinking that I haven't given real-life applications all that much credit. And that is not my intention. Please understand that to me, in a great education, we do not pit practical life skills against academics as if these are competing concepts and one needs to win out over the other. Actually, both head knowledge and skills with our hands are valuable and they complement each other well. So a great education will give proper attention to the development of both areas and will demonstrate the way that they interact. A great education will show that practical life skills and head knowledge are not entirely separate, they're not antagonistic to each other, and they don't compete with one another. You can be well and widely read, and you can be handy around the house. You can fix a broken car and have a good knowledge of the humanities. So in the planning and executing of a great education, we do devote a great amount of time to practical hands-on application and hands-on skill building. Next, a great education meets the needs of the individual student. This is one area where homeschool really does give us the opportunity to shine. I believe that the opportunity to provide a completely customized education might be unmatched outside of homeschool. If you have a child who masters multiplication in first grade instead of in third grade, you don't have to spend months or years practicing the same skill that he already knows backwards and forwards. If you have a child who's very advanced in their reading and their processing of information, but they aren't nearly as advanced in their ability to do handwriting, you can work ahead and you can adapt assignments to give them an actual challenge for their reading, for their comprehension and processing of information, while you can scale back on the activities that meet them where they are at in their development of handwriting skills. There are so many ways to look at the personhood of your child, look at the individual needs and values of your family, and adapt and customize that education to them. If your child has a certain subject area that just makes their heart sing, you can provide them with extra resources so that they can fly and take that even further. You can study your family's heritage language and make that a big part of your homeschool, just like my family is doing. When a child makes it clear from a very early age that they have a distinct passion and vision for their life, you can adapt their education and provide them with tools, with extra classes, resources, and extra studies that will help them to go far in their passion. On the other hand, when a child does not have a distinct passion and vision, you can continue to offer them tastes of a variety of dishes on this feast of education, continuing to let them explore different subjects until they find something that does make their heart sing, until they find this area that they do want to try out pursuing even further. Next, a great education takes into account character development. Great education plays a role in the development of character. And this is not that we are trying to mold our children into little model students or into little mini copies of ourselves. Our children are their own individual, unique creations. There has never been and there never will be someone who is exactly like your child. But in every story we read, in every math problem we solve, there are values to be shared, discussed, communicated, and evaluated. There are big ideas to be wrestled with, and discussion of these big ideas is a key player in the development of values and worldview. I've said many times that character can be built at the dining room table doing a math lesson. This is a small and actually safe opportunity to wrestle with something that might feel uncomfortable, something that might feel stretching, something that might feel hard or even impossible at times. And this is a great situation to be wrestling with these mini challenges, because life is going to offer our children so many more challenges throughout their lives. So in our lessons in homeschool, we get an opportunity to not know something and do the work, the hard work that it might take to get to the point where we do know that thing. In these lessons, we get to model responding to frustrations and responding to the unknown, and we get to watch how our children respond to frustrations and respond to the unknown. Through these observations, we get peeks into their character as they face these frustrations, as they face these little rubs along the path of the homeschool day. And what we see in our children's character during these peaks can inform us for the discussions that we need to and want to have as we continue to guide them as they are developing their own worldview and their own values. What we see helps us to know what our children struggle with, and that can help guide our discussions and our worldview building conversations that we have through over many, many years of parenting. Next, a good education keeps its eyes focused on the future. No education will ever teach your child everything that they will ever need or want to know in life. That's impossible, and it's not what we're aiming for. We need to keep our eyes continually focused on the future, where our child is heading. Someday, your child's journey with formal full-time education will be over. And at the end of that journey, we want them prepared with the skills as well as with the confidence to know that anything that they need to learn, anything that they want to learn, they can do it, and they know how to learn that thing. We want our children to have the confidence that they are equipped to learn anything that they want to know. This means that all along their educational journey, we are not approaching education as if it is a job of spoon-feeding knowledge into their brains. We are always keeping the end in mind. We are always keeping the future in mind. The need for them to grow in the skills required for self-teaching and self-education. And we look out for opportunities for our children to hone these skills all along the journey. And I want to wrap up this video with this point. What is the end or the purpose of the great education that we want to give our kids? This is a point worth contemplating. On the most basic fundamental level, the purpose of a good education is to equip our children for life. We want to teach the knowledge and the key skills necessary for thriving within the rest of their life story. Now, we don't know that story yet. It's still being written. So we don't know the details of how best to equip them for their specific story. But when we are students of our children, we learn daily how to provide that great education. Now, I am a Christian, so for me, the purpose of education becomes even more specific. I want my children to know the one who created them with purpose, and to know how exercising the minds that he gave us and working with the bodies he gave us is part of how we worship him. In Colossians, we read, whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father. For me, there is not really a division between sacred work and secular work. Whatever I do, whether I'm teaching the Bible or cleaning up spilled milk, all of my work is meant to be worship. So we do the work required for a great education, not because we have our eyes fixed on some fancy career or some big future financial payoff. Although those will be a part of some kids' stories, but we do this work because we can. We do it because it is work doing well, and we do it because it is the work that was given to us. My aim for my children's education is that they have the key skills and knowledge necessary for thriving in their God-given vocation, and that they know how to use their minds and their hands to work skillfully to do the work that they've been given to do. Homeschool can be a really great way to offer our kids an excellent education. Press on, my friends.